We are at Mission Trails, and we have our good friends Jamie and Victor here for their first time rock climbing. They're going to kill it today because they have a great attitude, and attitude is the most important thing when you're climbing. Big thing is climbing, people think is super dangerous, it's risky. It's actually one of the safest things you can do, and if you go with a guide and someone who sets your ropes for you, there's zero risk. You cannot fall because we're going to set the ropes up so you're always on top rope. It's important you have a good tight fitting harness. You want them double back, meaning it's coming through the buckles and tied in here, here, same thing on the waist. This is your belay loop. So when you climb, your belayer is going to have you here locked in so you can't fall. When you tie in, I'm going to show you with the rope, the person who climbs always starts with a figure eight, so you want about, always do arm's distance. You twist once. For kids, we say it's an alien head. You put the neck, go around the neck, and then in through the eye, and voila, you've got a figure eight. When you tie in, it's very important you go through this bottom loop and the top loop. So you're gonna feed it. And this is the same if you go into an indoor gym. You're gonna have to tie in, and they're gonna wanna make sure you know how. So you bring it through both loops. It helps if you set it up like this so you can follow this rope. So I'm gonna follow so that they end up being two next to each other. Make sure you get your figure eight nice and tight to your belay loop. You come through, and then I purposely did it poorly to show you. So right now, I'm okay. Technically, I'm safe, but this tail is a little bit short. So if you end up going through and you don't have a good tail, you're gonna have to feed it through and make sure you have a little bit longer. So tie back in. Once it's tied in, you can check by seeing that you have a set of 8. So I go 2, 4, 6, 8. And then this extra little bit, we call it a Yosemite follow through. When you're in Spain, the Spaniards laugh at us for doing this, but it's just a little extra safety check to make sure you're tied in nicely. All right, Gabby's gonna climb and set up the ropes. Okay, so Gabby's tied in correctly, and as the belayer, I'm always gonna check to make sure her knot has 2, 4, 6, 8. It's in, it's through both loops. She looks good. She's also gonna check with me that it's very important when you're belaying that there's 2 sides here, and this is for the ATCs. There's other belay device that'll be different, but that my brake hand is this right hand here, so I wanna make sure the bottom of the rope's coming to this hand and not flipped this way. So top goes to the climber, bottom to my brake hand. We want to make sure that this carabiner is locked. If it was like this, probably wouldn't come open, but you still could, so make sure it's nice and locked. And now Gabby's going to start climbing. She'll ask me questions. On belay?
No, I'm not on belay.
She's not on belay yet, meaning she can fall. I am not holding her yet. So right now, because the first clip is way up on that wall there,
Is it not?
it is the first, it's on the second section. You have to scramble. This is what we call very run out, and this is probably the most dangerous part for her because she technically could fall, but she won't because she's so comfortable on these walls. Rarely outdoors will you get a situation like this. This is a unique area. It was bolted a long time ago. They really could have put a bolt right about where she is now, just as safety, but they don't like, the guys who bolted this were so hardcore they didn't want to. They must have been German, right, Gabby? As you're climbing, especially right now because it's more of a scramble than a climb, you want to try to have 3 points of contact on at all times. So she'll always be alternating between finding another foot before moving a hand and vice versa.
Hate not having shoes.
Definitely helps to have shoes that have toes, have rubber left in them, especially climbing polished granite where you're using all toes.
Ah, nice.
Job City. So you can see why, like here, it's not safe because really, if she falls, there's nothing to catch her. Now she's at her first bolt, and she'll put a quick draw into the bolt, and once she clips her rope in, now you're on belay. So now she can't fall, but when she climbs to the next bolt, once she gets past that first bolt, she technically could fall, and so it's very important for me to watch the rope to make sure I can catch her if she does slip, and for her to look to make sure if she falls, that she falls safely. Down. All right, so once you make it all the way to the top and you come down, it's called rappel. You want to sit back in your harness so your hips get almost as low as your knees, and just the weight of your hips coming down will bring you down. You don't need to hold the rope or anything. People naturally get scared at this part, and then they'll want to latch onto the rocks, and it'll be a little trickier.
The other way down, like that way, and put it through. There you go.
So many different ways.
And now that.
Okay, so now you're going to go through the very bottom, through that hole.
And then the top one.
And then through the top, perfect.
Boom.
Nice, and then bring the knot real close to your belay first. Good, then follow this rope through. Exactly, so then it's going to go around, perfect, and then goes over. And then back under, and then follow through. And the tail's a little bit short, but you're gonna be okay. If we can take it and poke it into that hole there, that just makes me feel better that you're extra safe and nothing's gonna go anywhere. Okay, so Victor's gonna climb this route. You can see Gabby set the top ropes all the way up there. This is a weird route because it goes at a diagonal. So what we did was leave the draws in the wall. So as Victor climbs, each time he gets to a draw, he's gonna need to unclip it from the rope from the draw. You can leave the draw in the wall. You don't have to do it. You're just gonna have to take your rope out of the draw, which
As I keep guys,
Climbing, I'll say climb on.
All right.
Climbing.
So I gotta say belay.
so you say on belay.
Yeah, on
Belay
belay.
on.
Okay, and then you say
Climbing.
climbing. There you go.
Climb on.
We came up with a new one that was like rock on something.
I
and
really
I
don't
don't
know
know it.
either.
I'm not hipster enough to know that.
Oh, it's a new rock climbing
came up with it?
term.
Yeah,
Who
they're
came
from.
up with it?
Remember that girl that was from Oregon?
It's a high
Oh, no.
step. He's all, are you kidding me? I can't high step.
So anytime you feel like you're climbing and you feel stuck, if you take a second to look at, usually around knee level or hip level, there's something. So like by your right leg, there's actually a little hole that you could put your toe on right there. Nice. Nice, very good. And Gabby's got you tight, so as you take a couple inches, she'll tighten up that rope.
It's a little easier after this part. Do it. You got it.
And if you feel comfortable, you can unclip first.
It's up
You
to you.
can unclip now. You can take the rope out of that because you have good
there
feet.
was that one where I went up too high and almost turned.
Nice. Very good.
It's funny, I remember it makes, sorry.
That's okay. I'll check out the view out here. Okay, so after that day when we took Victor and Jamie rock climbing outdoors for their first experience, they wanted to try indoor and they loved it, but they had been a little bit, actually they really, really loved it. They're super addicted to it now, but they were a little intimidated to go in their first time, and it can be very intimidating. I remember the first time I went indoor, I was so confused. I didn't know what was what. So I wanted to go over a few things just to help you feel a little more comfortable when you walk in the door the first time. So after you fill out your liability form and you get your rentals, you're gonna get shoes that match. You're gonna get a harness and a belay device. Now, let's talk about shoes first. Shoes, so I brought one of each just so I could show you, because in the video I laughed. These are the shoes Gabby's been climbing with. This is not what shoes should look like, but we're waiting for her new ones to come in. And this is what they look like with good rubber. It's really important when you go first time on indoor, you do not need your foot to be scrunched up so tight that it's uncomfortable. Yes, when you get better at climbing, you're gonna wanna have a really tight fitting shoe so that you can use your edges and the toes really well. But at first, pick comfort a little bit over performance, especially if you're totally your first time. All right, so then once you're gonna get your shoes, you're gonna get a harness, and it gets really confusing, like, especially if it's all twisted. The big thing is start off from the back want these straps so they come to the top of the leg loops. And then you're gonna need to check the front to make sure that if my leg was in here, that my buckle's on the outside, nothing's twisted. So once I have it straight and it's not twisted, I'll hold it like this and I know it's straight, and then I'll just set it down on the ground in front of me, and then I step my foot in and the other foot in. Sorry, there's pokey things on the ground that are hurting my feet. If I actually wore shoes ever, it wouldn't be a problem. And then you're gonna pull them up. Now, good example, I'm wearing shorts. I do not recommend climbing in shorts your first time, especially shorter shorts. I always climb in leggings or pants, but you know, if you want to get a little extra attention in the gym, then by all means, wear the short shorts. So, first thing you're going to do is pull it on and then bring the thighs up nice and high, tucking everything in. Guys, I know it feels weird. Can't relate, I don't know what it feels like, but I'm sure it feels weird to have the harness on, but I've been told, the tighter the better. It keeps everything in place. It won't pinch anything while you're climbing. So you're gonna pull it up and get your leg loops nice and tight, and remember, double back. Make sure everything's tucked in. Because to get belay certified in the gym, you're gonna have to show that you know how to do all of this. And again, they're there to help you, so don't worry if you don't remember at first. But everything, ow, pokies. Okay, everything's tucked in, and then I do the same thing on the waist. So if you do this and the buckles are facing in, start over, you just have it twisted. And then the same thing, I'll tighten up the waist and tuck in the straps as much as I can. All right, now I got my harness on, I'm good. Got my shoes. Technically, as the climber, I'm ready to climb. Okay, remember a couple rules. As a climber, there's a few things you want to keep in mind. The first thing is, don't overgrip. You're gonna get nervous. Even if you're not nervous going on, as soon as you're 10 feet in the air, all of a sudden fear kicks in a little bit and you start thinking, what if, and you can get caught up in your head. Just take your time to sit in your harness, breathe, relax, keep your hands loose. And as you climb, you know, at first you're gonna wanna climb like you're climbing a ladder. But as you get more comfortable, start rotating a little bit through your hips. If you have to reach up for your left hand, bring your left hip to the wall and vice versa. So climbing, don't overgrip. When you start to feel like you're freaking out, tell your belayer take. That means get all the rope tension out so that you feel really tight. And then just see if you can work on sitting in your harness and relaxing. Shake out, let your hands come down. When your hands are up here, your heart's racing really fast to get the blood to pump up. If you can bring your hands down, shake out, it's gonna help you. The sooner you can relax on the wall, the more fun you can have while you do it. So I'm gonna take you in the gym now, and we're gonna talk about how to belay. Okay, so the right hand's the brake hand. That's the one that's always coming down. You want to make sure you're locked and that your rope is going to your chair beam. So you're going to pull, as the person climbs, you pull down on the rope and lift your brake hand and then extend it back down. And then to take up some of the slack, you just slide your hand up. You never let go. So you pull, bring it down, and then slide your hand up.